Okay. All right, we're coming back. We're coming back. Here we go. Sorry, guys. Had some connection issues. Hopefully we can get Nora back. There we are. Everything else is that hopefully you guys are understanding of some of the issues we're facing with like connection problems and other things like that. So yay, you're back. We lost connection on my end too, so it all just went down at once.
All right, no worries, no worries.
It's all good.
Yeah, so the last thing I heard you say was like, how do we inspire performers or something like that? You can just repeat your question.
Yeah, how do we inspire, like, so like I'm an instructor, of course, and like how do we as instructors inspire our performers, and how can our performers go about inspiring themselves to take ownership of their thoughts and not just allow themselves to just, you know, wander their thoughts away into the distance, or just constantly like do without thinking, you know, that sort of thing.
Yeah, okay, so Jim Fortin, he's amazing, talks a lot about the mind and psychology of the mind. He always says, when you look around you, so if you look around you right now, everything that you see around you is a creation of your thought, right? Everything. So that's how you can start to be, okay, what's around me that I am not actually enjoying, that doesn't light me up, that isn't actually helping me thrive? So then you can start to be, okay, what do I think? For example, when you stand in front of the mirror, are you constantly going, I'm not fit enough, I'm fat, I'm too fat, right? Are you constantly repeating that in your mind? Well, then what's going to happen? You're always going to look at yourself in that way. And then because there's no difference from your conscious mind and your subconscious mind is going, I'm fat, I'm fat, I'm fat. And then it will automatically, without you even knowing it, do things in order for you to get more weight on. Okay, so same thing. It's like, can you change your self-talk? When you stand in front of your mirror, can you be like, oh my God, you look so amazing. You are so fit. That handstand that you did is just amazing. Like constantly talking to yourself in who you want to be in the future. That really, really works. And so just look at your life and be like, what is actually not working for me? Because everything in your life is a manifestation of your thoughts.
It's true. That's awesomely true, because like even if you think about like the way that you operate within the world, your brain is sitting here and it's taking in things it can see, it's taking in things it can hear, but it's tempering everything with whatever you're thinking about. It's tempering everything. So if you're constantly thinking about negative things and looking at yourself and focusing on the wrong things, or focusing on the parts that make you unhappy, I mean, that's, oh wow. Like thinking about it that way is just such a great perspective to have, honestly. Like that's where it's coming from. And the biology teacher in me is going, ooh, brain science and that sort of stuff too.
Yeah, exactly. It is all down to brain science. And I studied NLP, which is neuro-linguistic programming. And it's really understanding that external world influences through our senses, influences our thought. A thought that we keep thinking creates our belief, okay? A belief, we have multiple beliefs, which creates our belief system. Our belief system governs our actions, okay? What are we going to do? What are we not going to do? And what do our actions create? Our actions create our reality. Yeah. So if you want to change around you, you've got to go back to thoughts, because you cannot change external circumstance on the larger scale. What you can be in control of is your thought. 100%. Now, a tool that I use daily is mindset journaling. This isn't just journaling, okay? Mindset journaling is asking yourself specific questions to put yourself into the state of who you want to be in the future. Okay, for example, for you guys, you can be like, now that I have perfected the routine and I'm no longer stressed or worried, and then you finish that sentence. Now that I am winning every single competition, oh, I missed it here. Now that I'm winning every single competition, I feel, right? So it's putting yourself in the future state of being. And that again is what manifestation is, feeling those feelings now that you think you're going to get from there.
So really putting those, so does it solidify it more for you, the fact that you're actually like putting it into writing?
Well, what I do in my journal is I'll actually write the same thing on the whole page. So I'm continuously feeling those feelings, right? And so for, let's say, 10 minutes, I'm feeling the feelings of what I want to feel. Okay. And again, feeling what you want to feel right now is what manifestation is. You don't need to wait. Okay. So yeah.
So you're making those feelings a reality with putting those words down in front of you, and then you're seeing them. That's so good. That's so good. So how can we use this then to improve our confidence level? So that's something like a big part of our activity is getting out and getting in front of people. Doing what we've practiced, working on what we've practiced over and over and over. How can we increase our confidence in that performance, now that we've worked through it and done all of these things?
A big part of lack of confidence is fear-based. So it's really journaling, what am I really afraid of, right? Because if you weren't afraid of something, you wouldn't lack the confidence. You'd be like, oh my God, like, of course I'm going to nail it. Also, it comes down to being okay. Having confidence means whatever the result is, you are going to be okay with the result, right? So it comes down to that. So what are you afraid of? So let's say you don't win the competition, you don't nail the routine. Are you going to be afraid of feeling ashamed? Okay. Are you going to be afraid of being rejected from the team? Like, what are your fears? Okay. So be really clear on your fears first. What's going to happen if it doesn't happen the way that I want it? Okay. So again, it's self-reflection. And then when you look at those fears, you can be like, well, is that really true? Am I really going to get rejected from the team if I don't nail the routine? More than likely not. Okay, so these are irrational fears that if we don't name them, they're ruling our lives. Okay, and that's what's causing lack of confidence. Because if you had confidence, you'd be like, you know what, I'm gonna go for it, and even if I don't nail it, I'm gonna be okay. Yeah. So really looking at the fears is the first step. What's going to happen? What is my deepest, darkest fear around this? Whatever you're lacking confidence in. Okay. Maybe I'm going to injure my body. If I injure my body, it means I have to stop training for 6 months. If I stop training for 6 months, it means I can't make it's like all of these things. Okay. In reality, it's like, you know what? My body knows exactly what to do. I am not going to get injured. Again, don't create your reality in the future. Decide to always create the reality in the feeling that you want. Okay. So that's the first step, really looking at your fears, because your fears are governing you. Our fears keep us small. Our fears keep us held back. Yeah. And most of the time, our fears are coming from childhood incidences. Okay. Perhaps your parents rejected you. Perhaps you wanted to play with your friends and they said no. So really just getting clear on your fears. And then the second thing I would do is, confidence is a practice. You can cultivate confidence. So really understanding what are the things you can do to make you feel really confident. Do more of those daily, because the more that you're in the energy of confidence, the more confidence will build in you. Yeah. So it's the things like I do for women in confidence is like, wear the clothes which you really love on yourself, because you're going to show up differently than when you're wearing, let's say, a ripped whole t-shirt down to the shop, or when you're actually wearing a top which, makes you like put your shoulders back and make you look good. It's the same thing. You build your confidence layer upon layer until you're just feeling, again, confidence is feeling really good about yourself. So we're always trying to do the things to feel really good about ourselves.
It's funny because as you're talking through some of these points, I'm thinking of specific students. I'm like, I know a student who has gone through this. I know a student who's gone through this. I know students who come into their own and had those sort of transitions where they're like, oh, well, I'm going to dress how I feel that makes me feel good. I personally, I think that knowing that as a category of things that makes you feel good versus just saying one thing, I always heard the whole manifestation in the mirror thing, like look at yourself and tell yourself that you're beautiful and tell yourself you feel good. And I'm like, for me, that doesn't work. I can look at myself and I can say, I feel beautiful all I want, and I'm not going to feel it. But if I'm wearing something that makes me feel like I look beautiful, that's going to be a whole, and then I'm looking in the mirror, that's a whole different story. So it's not just about doing that one thing. It's about doing a whole group of things that might make you feel more confident in yourself. Would you agree?
Yeah, keep piling it on. Why would you not, right?
Exactly.
Like
Exactly.
why would you not want to feel great about yourself? Why would you not want to feel confident? Why would you not want to feel magnetic? Why would you not want to feel radiant or joyful or happy? All of those things, right? We think that we can't feel it, but we can. People say, oh, you're so egotistical, you're so full of yourself. You know what? When you're around a person who loves themselves, who feels so much joy, who is irradiating, you want to spend even more time with that person. They are magnetic. You want to be in their presence. Yeah. So imagine if everybody went around feeling really fucking good about themselves. And that's not in an egotistical way, but just in a like, wow, you know what? I feel so good. I'm radiating. I'm joyful. Joy is contagious. Happiness is contagious. When you're with someone who's laughing, you can't help but laugh too.
Absolutely. So, as teachers, how can we approach our students? Is there a way we can approach our students that would help inspire the students to feel more confident, just in our daily practices?
I think a big thing is like words of affirmation for teachers is really like, you know, even if you want to criticize, you always first say, oh my God, you've done really well, this and this, you've done excellent. Wow, I can see your improvement, because it makes them feel better. And then you can say, hey, and I noticed that let's work on this a little bit more, right? So it's really about the languaging and how you approach, because you don't want to be too harsh so you put them down, because that might tap into some of their fears. That
Right.
might also make them feel rejected. That might go into the worry, right? It might also turn it the opposite, where they're just going to go full force forward and burn out because they think they're not good enough, okay? And that's a big thing. Like what I learned from school is like, I'm not good enough. I'm not good enough in school. That's like the main thing you're taught in school, right? No, you're not getting an A, so you're not good enough, right? And no wonder so many of us have low self-esteem issues, because the first thing that we're put into is a schooling system which is based on grades, right? And grades are then just like, you're never good enough then, unless you're getting the top grade. And I can see here a comment says, words of affirmation is a love language. Exactly,
Yeah.
it is a love language. It is a love language, you know? And it's just, I can see it with teachers and my students. It's just like, people love to be praised. People love to be told that they're amazing, that they're good. And we don't get enough of that in life, right? We just don't. And especially if you had parents which weren't very verbal in their affection to you, or weren't very physical in their affection to you. That's also a love language. And so one of the things I would really do as a teacher is talk to your students about their worries. Like, what are they really worried about? What are they fearing about? Like, hold a circle environment where everybody gets to share, and everybody gets to share their own worries, their own fears, because that's going to bring the group together as well. And you might think everybody, I know this, and I hold a lot of circles. And everybody thinks that they are alone in their fears, but it's not true. It is simply not true. So if you do a sharing circle, you'll realize, oh, like, I thought you were so set in this, but you feel the same way as I do. That builds connection, that builds friendship, that builds camaraderie.
Absolutely. I can definitely see that, especially like if they're having difficulty with a part of the show, but then the other students are having a good time with it, and it seems like they're doing well, but then they don't realize, like, oh, well, they're struggling too. And once you realize that there are other people in your struggle, you know you can make it through it. And like them working together is just it's just so good. It's so good for them. Oh, goodness. I feel like I'm inspired from everything so far. You know, it's going to be such a great thing to kind of put ourselves out there. I have a question here from one of our followers that wants to know, how do you overcome imposter syndrome? So sort of that feeling that you don't belong there, maybe?
Yeah, and imposter syndrome is super common. It really is super common. And it's just like, you know what, I just don't, ultimately, it's like, I don't think I'm good enough. I don't think that, this isn't the true me. So how do you overcome imposter syndrome? Well, again, ask yourself, what are you truly feeling? What are you fearing? Why do you feel like you are an imposter? Is it because you have a belief system that you have to maybe get a degree in this or a qualification in this, and then you'll only be an expert in it, right? So it's really, again, looking at your beliefs around it, and imposter syndrome often comes because we compare ourselves. So who are you comparing yourself to, right? Are you thinking that you have to be like that person? Well, you're never going to be like that person. You are your own person, and you have your own gifts and your own talents. So when you think about it, I would journal. I would write a list, okay? I would write a list of everything that you are really good at, you know, really, really good at. Be like, wow, you know what? I'm really good at all of these things. Okay, now I'm comparing myself to that person, and comparison never works, okay? And we live in a society where comparison is just so rife because Instagram, social media, you're going to competitions, you're seeing everything, right? And so you're constantly talking down to yourself. That's what comparing is. I'm not good enough. I'm not good enough. I'm not good enough. Look at her. Look at her. Ultimately, what do you think they have that you don't have, or you don't have access to, or you can't cultivate? Yeah, ask yourself that question. What do you think that they have better than you? Yeah, and then ask yourself, well, why do I believe I can't have that? That's your belief system. That is your belief system right there.
I think you definitely hit the nail on the head with that, with comparing on social media too, because with the pandemic, so many of our performers and instructors and so on from all over the world shifted and moved on to social media, whereas before there was only maybe like 4 or 5 of us who were very well known, and then all of a sudden all of these instructors came in, and there were so many students, I think, who just looked at this and said, this is too much for me. I can't handle this, or they're comparing themselves like, oh, well, I can't throw my rifle in the air, have it turn 6 times, and I turn around and sit down on the ground underneath it. You know, there's so many things that they saw all of a sudden that they couldn't necessarily do, where they maybe would have seen it if they went to world championships, but they wouldn't have seen it before, aside from that. So I think that really hits it. I think just not comparing yourself, just moving through whatever is the most logical path for you to go through, and to really manifest that too. I
think when you are comparing yourself, stop yourself right then and there and be like, okay, what do I believe that they have that I can't have? Go and journal. What do I believe that they have that I can't have? That's going to show you your belief system. Oh, I can't be that fit. Oh, my body's not able to, tumble like that. Oh, I'm not good enough to win the competition. That's simply your belief system. Then you can look at those beliefs and be like, well, what do I choose to believe instead? What do I want to choose to believe instead? And who you're comparing yourself to, you can ask, well, what is their belief system that they're over there where I want to be? What do you think their belief is? And then you can write down, okay, I'm just like simply the best. I believe that everything's always working out for me. I believe that I can do my best, win the competition, or even if I don't, like, write down their beliefs, what you think their beliefs are, and then you can start to embody it. Because ultimately we can do anything, right? It's only our thoughts that keep us where we are.
That's so true, so perfect, so perfectly true. It's so applicable. It's like, oh my gosh, I love when I read your profile. I was like, oh, this is perfect. This is exactly what our activity needs is to hear from you, to hear from Nora, and to hear your theories on these things. Nora, this has been so awesome. I appreciate you so much for your time and everything. Do you have anything else, any other advice you want to just throw out before we wrap things up sort of for the evening?
I think just my number one thing is really start to look at yourself and look at your beliefs and your thoughts, and do that by spending some time journaling in the morning. It's like, what is my reality around me? Look at it. Be like, okay, what's really not working for me? What do I need to change in my thoughts in order for it? So, as example, if you want more money, well, what are your beliefs around money? That you have to work hard, that it's not okay. Like, look at that. And that's how you really start to change yourself and your life.
That's such a great idea. I think I want to do this with my students too this season. Be like, okay, everyone bring your journals. Let's have sit down journal time. And I think that would be so helpful just for everyone's confidence and everyone's self-esteem to be able to do that. So. Yeah.
And I have my book is coming out in about a month, and it's called Confident, Sexy, and Wildly Free. And it's actually got a whole bunch of journaling questions in it. And it's all about how to own your worth, how to ditch your self-doubt and how not to give a fuck what anyone thinks of you.
Do you have pre-orders going on right now?
I don't have pre-orders. However, you can. I'll send you the link on the DMs. You can download the first as a sneak preview of what's going to be coming up in the book. And then there'll be a launch in about a month where it will be like 99 cents on Amazon for the Kindle version. And it comes with a workbook as well. And then you can just fill in all the questions and a lot of the kind of mindset journaling questions and everything. I've also got meditations and tasks for you to do with the end goal of feeling confident, feeling sexy about yourself, and feeling so wildly free that you can create the exact life that you desire.
Well, I am going to definitely follow that and get on that myself too. So that is so great. Thank you so much for coming and talking. I really appreciate you. Like I said, I appreciate your time. This has been awesome, and we should definitely do this again sometime.
Yeah, I'm happy. You know, if anyone has any questions, you can pop into my DMs. Come follow me on Instagram. I really talk a lot about manifestation. I talk a lot about feminine and masculine polarities. I talk really about how do you feel confident and self-confident and full of self-love for yourself.
And I will put links to all of your socials. And so if you guys want to go follow Nora, I will make sure there's links in the description on the podcast, on the videos, everything. So you guys can go follow her too and just get some daily inspiration.
Yes. All right. Thank you so much. So much love from Bali. Bye.
Bye.